New York strip steak. Thick piece of fat right along the side of it, sealing in these perfect and delicious flavors. Go ahead and click off this video if you don't want your mouth to water. Let's get into it. We're gonna salt our steak, guys, on both sides. We wanna go ahead, we wanna hit it with our pepper too. And guys, remember, when we're in this process of prepping our steak, we wanna season with a reason, guys, and I'm gonna let you know a little bit later why we season so heavily. But I'm using this Morton seasoned salt right here, or Morton seasonal. I think it's delicious and goes great. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a nice thick layer of seasoning right there. Then we've also got a little bit of cayenne pepper. This is another one of my favorites. It adds a little bit of spice, but it really doesn't add too much spice. It really just gives it a lot of flavor. Press this down on the steak. Just press it on there. What that's doing is giving it a nice coating. What we're gonna do, give it a nice flip. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. Now, also something to note too, there's no seasoning here on this back strap, and there's no seasoning around on this part of the steak. So you see all this excess right here, guys? Little pro tip, we're gonna go ahead and just roll it in that, guys, so we're not wasting any of our seasoning, and every bite of our steak is gonna have consistent bite, consistent flavor, and we just go ahead and just mop it up. Boom. All right, guys, our steak is seasoned. It's been sitting out for about 30 minutes now. You wanna get this to room temperature. That's really important. Let's go ahead and let's throw it on our cast iron pan. So we wanna take our steak with that strip side, guys, and we just wanna place it directly down. And that's the sound we wanna hear. We wanna let that go ahead and sit there, because what we wanna do is when we're searing this right there, guys, it's searing that back strap, that fat, and it's gonna lock in all the flavors when we continue to cook the steak. So that's exactly what I want to see. You can already see it starting to brown down there at the bottom of the steak. So I'm pretty excited with how it's looking already so far in the pan. So we're gonna want to cook this steak for about 4 minutes on each side, but we want to sear this for probably 2 minutes, guys. That's right in the range we want to be right at. So it looks good, guys. Let's go ahead, and you can see now, look at that sear we've already got on it. Our oil is nice and hot here, so let's go ahead and let's just lay our steak right down. Give it a firm press down on your pan, because that's gonna create the crust that we want, guys. I'm gonna set that for 4 minutes. All right, guys, it's been just about 4 minutes since we laid the steak down off of its side onto the pan. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tongs, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna grab our steak, and we're gonna wanna flip this away from us, guys, because we don't want all this oil to come at us. So we just flipped it over, so we wanna have it about another 4 minutes on this side. And right here, we're gonna go ahead and add our unsalted butter in. The unsalted butter is really important because we wanna make sure that we baste the steak with this. And with the unsalted butter, it actually has a higher burning temperature than regular salted butter. So all that means is that if you use regular salted butter, that butter can burn, and when you're basting your steak with that, it's gonna actually go ahead and taste a little bit burnt in your steak, and we don't want that. I'm just literally just flicking the butter right up on there, and this is what I was talking to you guys about. It's actually going ahead, and I'm cooking the steak now. I'm infusing the butter flavor to it, and the good thing is that the butter's touching every portion of the steak, so the heat's coming from the bottom of the cast iron skillet, but also that butter is now helping cook the entire steak, which is exactly what we want. So let me just keep basting the steak here, because like I said, we've got about 4 minutes on this side, and we would just want to keep cooking that steak up, and this is helping make sure that we get to the perfect temperature, which is the medium rare that we want, and that's 130 to 135 degrees internal temperature. And the other thing about basting it with butter is it gives it this wonderful golden shimmer. Look at that. It's like I'm basting this in liquid gold, guys. I'm excited for you to try this out because it's just delicious, and it adds to just makes it a perfect steak, you know? It's something that you go out and you buy a nice steak and you want it to be delicious, you know? So this is really important that you cook it the right way, and the best thing is that you can cook it how you want. So take these techniques, tweak them, guys. Maybe add something that you like. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but that's a great thing about your kitchen and being in your home or your apartment or wherever you're at, is you can cook how you want to cook. So just keep basting your steak. It's that butter's continuing to seep down into the steak. It's cooking the steak, and it's really just getting it to exactly where we want it to be. So I'm almost done here. I'm gonna let it sit for just a little bit longer. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm using the tongs because I wanna use the tongs. I don't wanna use the spatula. If you use the spatula, you could scrape the seasoning off. But we didn't get to sear this other side of the steak. Oh my gosh, look at that crust. It's looking amazing. You can see the seasonings locked in, all the flavors locked in the steak. So I'm just grabbing the tongs. I'm just rubbing it around the pan. That's gonna sear that other side, and that's gonna just give a consistent bite, locking in all the flavors from basting it with the butter and the seasoning, and all of our juices from the inside of the steak are locked in there. So just go ahead, run it around for like 30 seconds on the pan, because remember, we're not trying to cook the steak anymore, but we want that steak to go ahead and get that crust on the outside. So I'm gonna let it sit right here. I'm gonna give it one last baste right before I take it off. That's just to give it that last little shimmer. It's gonna help with the aesthetics, guys, to make it look beautiful, but it's also giving it that one last touch of the butter, and the butter's at the hottest temperature right now, so that's something that's really important as well. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take off this steak with my tongs carefully. I'm gonna let it rest for 5 to 7 minutes. This is important. Let it rest 5 to 7 minutes because it's still cooking up a little bit. Look how beautiful this looks. I'm excited to cut into this, guys, so I'll catch you at the table. Look at that beautiful crust. It looks delicious. All that seasoning has formed that beautiful crust. I can't wait. Let's go ahead. Let's cut into this bad boy. All right, the moment of truth. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect medium rare. Guys, I'll throw up the thermometer. Is exactly at about 130 degrees to 135 degrees, which is that perfect medium rare internal temperature. Check out that seasoning. Look at that beautiful red and warm pink in the center. And you can really see this beautiful crust on the steak. Check this out right here. So you see that? You get that nice crust there. You've got that bark texture from it. I'm excited to cut into this, guys, so I'll catch you at the table. All right, we got that perfect medium rare. That crust looks delicious, guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it. So let's just cut this piece. And you can just see this tray of juices right here. Look, it's just dripping off. That's unreal. It's super tender. It's super juicy. The seasoning's popping, but it's not salty. It doesn't dry your mouth out. It just explodes with flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tear this up. So if you enjoyed the video, hit me with the like, subscribe, and go ahead and check out one of the other videos. Peace, guys.